Yo, what's good YouTube? ZAMCRO here, aka Scoot, back with the International Trainers League, and we have the Week 3 recap and power rankings. And of course, we'll talk about the transactions and do my Week 4 pick'ems in the late part. This game was, or excuse me, this week was full of awesome things. We had Aki versus Sky, which is always, going to be a fun time. Gypsy and Alpha, and those two squads just matching up really fun. Eric and Carson, another fun one there. And we also have Sebi versus Marin, which was a match I was definitely looking forward to. And George versus Phantom Base, Septal MC versus Tyler. I guess I said their real names, when I said the other one's username, and back and forth like that. And then we had Helmy versus Nova, which is going to be an interesting matchup as well. So yeah, let's just go ahead and hop into kind of the recap and see the results and how my pick'ems went and what's the last one? Oh, Pokemon of the Week. So let's go ahead and hop into that. Alright, so as you can see on screen, the Montreal Infernos played the Zagreb Zangooses, where Sebi came out on top. George came out on top on the New York Cosmog San Francisco match. Helmy came out on top of the Wisconsin New Orleans match. Gypsy, like I said earlier in the season, I'm not going to be betting against Gypsy. I don't see him losing. He's such a good battler, and he's got such a fantastic squad. He's such a great builder and things like that. He takes all things into consideration on every turn. I don't see him losing, and of course he won this week. And then we had the Portland Crowbats facing off against the Goldenrods of Strikers, which is, one of the matches that I was looking forward to most this season. I always love watching Aki and Sky face off, and Aki came out on top on this one, as I predicted that one. And then, as you see at the bottom, we've got our Week 3 pick'ems, and we was 5 of 6 on those. And the last game of the week, I don't know if it was the last game of the week chronologically, I don't think it was, where Eric actually defeated Carson, where I thought Carson would win. And we'll talk about that match a little bit more in depth later on. But in my opinion, Pokemon of the Week goes to Reuniclus. Was able to finish up the game for Gypsy versus, Alpha in that match. It was a fantastic matchup. It was really fun to watch and things like that. And yeah, so my pick'ems wasn't too bad off on this one. I think we went 5 of 6 in week 1, and then went like 3 of 6 in last week, and then here on the week 3 our week 3 pick'ems ended up being 5 of 6, which isn't too bad. So in total, we're like 10 of 12, and then 13 of 19 or something like that. 13 of 18. Is that right? Something like that. But not too bad overall. And like I mentioned, Pokemon of the Week goes to Reuniclus. You saw it on the thumbnail earlier, the thumbnail and the intro part earlier with Como, so that was really nice. But yeah, we can go ahead and hop into the actual battles here and see how talk about some of the key points and turning points of the match and things like that. And we'll go ahead and hop into it. All right, so in the week 3 opener, we had Aki versus Sky, and this, like I mentioned, was one of the games I was looking forward to most of the season, actually, not just this week. I love when Aki and Sky face off. Two very, very confident battlers, love their builds, love their playstyle, and things like that. So, as you can see on screen, Sky brought the Mega Gallade, Metagross, Zapdos, Blissey, which is going to be interesting to talk about, the Blissey specifically, and then Milotic and Donphan, where Aki has brought his Manaphy, Tyranitar, Superior, Excadrill, Mega Mawile, and the Dusclops. So, we're going to hop into it here and see what's actually going to go on. We're not going to watch the entire replay or anything like that. I don't want to spend too much time. I just want to, talk about the key points here. So, this Manaphy reveals Toxic. So, it's pretty much trying to catch the Milotic potentially on the Toxic there. To avoid Flame Orbs and things like that. Sky's been running a lot of Flame Orb Milotic to try to take on physical attackers and things like this. But check how interesting this is. He goes for the Toxic here again, and the Blissey goes for the Thunderbolt, and that damage reveals that this Blissey is an item boosting Blissey. That's that's heat. That's fantastic. That's so fantastic. I was very excited to see that. But yeah, Manaphy is going to reveal. It gets the pair there. It's not going to matter. I guess it kind of forces Manaphy to set up the Rain Dance a lot quicker, and then Hydration comes into effect here. But yeah, there's not too big of an issue there. And this Manaphy is going to put in the work actually, being able to rest up, and then Hydration always wakes it up. Anyways, let's fast forward a little bit here. Alright, so here we're on turn 25, where Aki is bringing in his he had Serp in, but he brings in his Tyranitar hard on the Zapdos. And the Zapdos is going to roost up. And then on the following turn, Zapdos is going to throw off the Toxic, not fearing the Stone Edge, because it has the Charty Berry. And so Sky loves his berries, keep that in mind, everybody. And now, Sky's going to roost up, and Aki's going to call that again. He's not going to click Stone Edge here, he's going to click Toxic. That's a much more valuable play here. And this is where things get interesting. So Sky has shown Milotic to be the answer to Tyranitar and Mega Mawile. Any kind of physical type attackers, he's been switching Flame Orb Milotic in with the Marvel Scale. He's been eating up hits, and here's where Aki's going to make the play of this game, in my opinion. He's going to predict that, or at least I think it's a prediction, and he's going to go out into his Serp here. And now he's got the advantage. Aki's got the advantage here. He has revealed already that he is a sub Leech Seed variant, so he could sub up right here. And I believe that's what he's actually going to do. He's going to sub up, and then on the following turn, he's going to click Leech Seed as the Milotic actually recovers, predicting that. And that was a good play, too, because he knew he wasn't going to Leaf Storm right off, and he could probably take it anyway. Milotic's a fat monster. Anyways, Sky, goes into Metagross here, and unfortunately, Aki misses his Leaf Storm. And he's going to go for the Leech Seed on the following turn as Sky breaks the sub with the Meteor Mash. And I believe here, Aki goes for the sub here, and Metagross actually misses the following Meteor Mash, and basically put them in the position they should have been in had Aki not missed the Leaf Storm. And he's going to be able to go for the Leaf Storm here. And I believe Sky actually misses another Meteor Mash, but now Aki, being a gentleman here, shout out to Aki, he goes for Leech Seed again, so that's a fair play there. I know he's getting a little bit of recovery back, but as long as the sub's not up, this is basically how it was going to end anyway. And he's going to reveal the hidden power here, knock out the Metagross. And then at this point, Serp's really going in. This was, like I mentioned, play of the game there, getting the Serp in on the Milotic and putting himself in a position to be able to run through a lot of Aki's team here. As this Leaf Storm's, that's a bulky Gallade, by the way. That's a very, very bulky Gallade. But this Serp's going to be able to 2-hit KO it regardless. And it's getting boost like crazy at this point anyway, so it's becoming a huge threat. And Aki's, I think this was a misclick too, by the way. I think that was a misclick. Yeah, that was definitely a misclick. He goes into the Donphan here and uses the Ishore to just try to put it in range of something. But at this point, Serp's done did the damage. But that's basically, Aki's not going to stay in here because Serp's still really good against Milotic. But that was basically the game. You know what? I can actually fast forward again. And right here, Aki's going to go for the Swords Dance. He goes for the Swords Dance here. Now check this out. Milotic's going to go for the Scald, and this Excadrill is going to reveal the Weakness Policy. So now this thing, is just going to run through Sky's team. It has the boost. It has the Sand Rush speed boost as well, so it's going to outpace the Mega Gallade, and it's going to be able to knock this thing out and then knock out the Blissey. So yeah, it's going to be a good game to both of them fellers. It was really, really nice match to see. The item boosting Blissey in the Excadrill set was very, very hot. Potentially on hot sets, we don't know yet, but yeah. Fun game to watch, and kudos to both players. Alright, so the next game in chronological order was Alpha versus Gypsy here, and as you see on the screen, Gypsy brought the Kyurem Black, Tyranitar, Whimsicott, Magearna, Quillfish. It's one of his staples. He's really good at using Quillfish. Him and Aki both, phenomenal use of Quillfish. And Reuniclus, mono of the week in my opinion. And Alpha brought Garchomp, Thundurus. So actually, I don't know if I talked about this in last week's video, because this was kind of like a late transaction. I may have talked about it, I'm not 100% sure, but Alpha's got, Thundurus Therian now, a whole new squad. Not entirely new, but he dropped like 4 mons, picked up like 3 mons or something like that. And he brought the Garchomp, Thundurus Incarnate, Mega Lopunny, Bronzong, Crobat, and the Primarina. So check this out. The Whimsicott already went down, and Crobat's come in here and roosted up just now. And Gypsy predicting the roost, or just knowing that Crobat couldn't take out the Magearna. He swaps in this Magearna here, and he's going to try to use it as a little bit of setup fodder and see what kind of Crobat this is. Crobat actually stays in and defogs as McGinnis goes for the shift gear. So this was really, really interesting here, as he's going to pull a hard switch knowing that, you know, the floor cannon is the least likely move versus a Crobat. So he goes hard into his Mega Lopunny here, and he's going to Mega Evolve and reveal Healing Wish. Phenomenal. And this thing has a shift gear up, and Mega Lopunny was still able to outpace this, and was able to outpace a Adamant or Jolly Tyranitar at +2. Mega Tyranitar, that is. So that speed creep right there coming in clutch, and gets the Healing Wish off, and goes into his designated check to the McGinnis here, behind a Reflect, mind you, as well. So now the McGinnis sweep gets stopped early there, goes for the Gyro Ball. I think he's actually going to pull a switch out here too, and he gets pursued. So that was a really nice play there too. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. So I skipped all the Calm Minds and the Acid Armors and the Recovers and the Super Fangs from the Crobat. I bypassed all that. You guys don't need to just see all that stuff. Just know that Reuniclus is set up to 3 times defense, 3.5 times special attack and special defense, and Crobat didn't have taunt or anything like that. It's the best way to do damage was the Super Fang. Wasn't reliable enough, and now the Reuniclus is able to just click Psyshock here, I believe. Psychic actually knocks out the Crobat. Going to be in position to eat these hits up from the Primarina. Actually gets a crit there. Wasn't able to get the knockout though. And then he's able to knock that bad boy out. And I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah. Reuniclus is able to just go ahead and 1v1 this Bronzong as well because of its, you know, stats, and knocks out the Garchomp as well. So yeah, it's going to be a good game, and Gypsy coming out with a clean win here. And Reuniclus, baby, Pokemon of the week for week 3. Now let's go ahead and hop into the next battle. Alright, so I kind of already skipped ahead in this one. Carson versus Eric, and now this was the match I got wrong on my pick'ems, the only one I got wrong on my pick'ems, so we're going to talk about why I got this wrong and their game so far. So basically, Buzzwole was able to put in a little bit of work, Skarmory able to, you know, check the Buzzwole to the best it could, Tapu Lele doing a little work here and there, and Mega Kangaskhan doing the most work, really. Wish, Protect, Returns. It's been a great set for Eric all season. Able to wish up and get recovery. I'm sorry if you guys can hear traffic and the rain. It's raining, and live pretty close to the highway. So, anywho, Eric, they've got it to a 3-3 here, getting down to their last mons. It's coming to the crunch time here, and Eric's able to throw off a wish here. He knows he's going to survive this Earth Power. He knocks out the Landers here and gets his wish back. So now it's easy for either, well, it depends on the Hitmonlee set. I don't know if he was scarfed or anything like that. He could have come in, like if he was scarfed, he would have came in right now and revenge killed the Kang. So he may not be scarfed. Either way, he's going to go out to his Coco here, and he's going to reveal the Z move. Goes for the Gigavolt Havoc, able to knock out the Mega Kangaskhan here, which was a fair play here as well. But now the Alolan Muck comes in, and now this is where things get interesting. The Coco goes for the Thunderbolt, but in my opinion, the play here was to U-turn out into Hitmonlee, and Hitmonlee could eat the Poison Jab without any, you know, defense drops, and then this thing would not have had its berry prompted. You know, it would be close to half without a berry, you know, popped, and Hitmonlee could potentially knock it out with close combat. As you're going to see here, how much damage this close combat does. It gets a defense boost as well, and gets its unburdened boost. So it's able to click close combat here, and it did 70%. So yeah, the play was definitely to U-turn out into Hitmonlee, get your defense boost, take the Poison Jab like a champ, then click close combat, knock out the Alolan Muck, and then what you can do is sack off Coco to the Mamoswine, and then come back in with Hitmonlee to knock out the Mamoswine with close combat. But unfortunately, my man Carson choked this game away, in my opinion. I don't know what his thought process was, but in my opinion, that was a choke, and I could have been 6 for 6 on my pick'ems this week. But yeah, good game to both. Both definitely came to play. I was very, you know, thoroughly entertained from this match. And Mega Kangaskhan has been so impressive to me. Like, I'm about to draft that bad boy just because of the way Eric's been using it. Anyways, good game to these fellers, and we'll hop into the next one. Alright, so game 4 is Sebi versus Marin. We got the Montreal Monfernos taking on the Zagreb Zangooses, where Sebi's brought his Celesteela, Moltres, Nidoqueen, Tangrowth, Hydreigon, and the Gigalith. Gigalith being, now, in my post-draft power rankings, I talked about Gigalith and how it might have just been picked as a rocker and I didn't, I thought he could replace it with something else, but Sebi's been using this bad boy really well. He actually got paralyzed on like turn 2 from the Licky Licky or something like that, and Marin brought the Drapion in and tried to set up on the Gigalith, and the Gigalith broke through paralysis and bopped it with an Earthquake and eliminated it from the match early. Marin bringing his Hawlucha, Tapu Bulu, Licky Licky, Mega Scizor, Victini, and the Drapion, as I just mentioned. And here's where things are going to be a little bit like he made one over prediction there trying to set up with the Drapion. Not really an over prediction, but an early setup, and it cost him his Drapion. And now he's going to go, just goes for the Horn Leech here versus the Celesteela. As Celesteela's going to go for the Air Slash. It does over half, but not quite able to knock it out, and it gets the Nature's Madness here. So I think Marin's thought process here is that, Celesteela wants to recover a little bit, so it might click Protect here. Or he's predicting the Air Slash. But what Sebi does here is he catches him off guard and goes for the Flamethrower, knowing that Bulu's not doing much and Flamethrower's going to at least 2-hit KO. And Marin goes into his Scizor and loses a third of his team within 15 turns. I mean, not a third, but half of his team within 15 turns. And he goes into the Hawlucha and encores it into Flamethrower. But with the special attack boost, it's just doing way too much, even if Hawlucha has Roost. Goes for the Drain Punch here, not quite able to do enough. And the second Flamethrower is able to knock this bad boy out as well. And Celesteela just putting in the work this season. He's going to go into his Gigalith here on the Victini, which reveals to be a work-up variant. A work-up variant here, and it had revealed Earthquake earlier, so he went for the Heavy Slam there, predicting the Bulu to come in and set up the terrain, but he doesn't get that right, which is okay, and like this game's pretty much sealed in the bag anyway. Celesteela is going to be able to beat this Bulu almost infinitely, and that's just what's going to happen here. Just a couple Air Slashes here and there, and that's going to be the game. So good game to these fellers. I think what really cost Marin was just a few over predictions and trying to set up early with his Drapion. But something that was really cool to see, in my opinion, was the Encore Hawlucha and the Fire Spin Moltres. Really excited to see, hot sets like that. So that was really nice to see, and this is a good game. So good game to both fellers. Unfortunately, Marin's on a 3-game losing streak, but he'll bounce back. I'm sure of it. He just gets praised too highly to not bounce back. So anyways, we'll go ahead and hop into the next match. Alright, so the next game is Septal MC versus Phantom Base, George versus Tyler, the San Francisco Arcanine versus the New York Cosmogs, and the New York Cosmogs have brought the Talonflame, Exploud, Megaladios, Medicham, Ferrothorn, and the Mismagius, where George has brought his Heatran, Zygarde 10%, Gengar, Mega Blastoise, Mew, and the Terrakion. So pretty cool squads from both of these fellers. It was really, really nice to see things like Exploud and regular Medicham, things like the Zydog, and of course Mega Blastoise. So this match is going to lead off, and Tyler's going to immediately start trying to break through his squad as he baton passes to the Talonflame so that he can start setting up a Swords Dance. He sets up a Swords Dance immediately as Mew just U-turns out into the Blastoise, and here I don't think Talonflame can knock out the Mega Blastoise. It's really, really bulky, and he goes hard into his Ferrothorn, and Blastoise is going to get a Scald. And right here, it's already revealing that this Blastoise is going to get a little bit lucky. So he hard switches into his Mega Latios, probably on the Aura Sphere, and now he's going to Mega Evolve, and like he did with his Talonflame, he's going to set up immediately with a Calm Mind. And as you can see, after a Calm Mind, this Dark Pulse does 41%, and he goes for the sub here. Maybe predicting a move swap or something like that, and goes for a recover here, and Mega Blastoise is going to critical hit the Mega Latios here. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the music should have changed here right there perfectly and got a little bit more dramatic and intense, which is always cool to see, and especially, in Pokemon battles. Anyways, from there, it's really, really downhill from Tyler. He's not able to make a comeback at this point. He goes for the Boom Burst here, tries to, he's going to try to make something out of Exploud here. I believe it has Earthquake. Doesn't do enough to the Heatran, and that's just going to be, the story of the game here. It survives this attack, by the way. So that's a very, very, very bulky Exploud, but not quite able to do the damage it needed to. Check that out. Lived a Psychic as well, and able to get 50% off on the Mew. That's so nice to see, Exploud putting in the work like that. But the general gist of the game was this pretty much happened over and over and over. Like I said, Ferrothorn got burned, he got crit, wasn't able to knock out the Heat Ran with Earthquake or anything like that, just not invested enough. Metacham was probably a Scarf variant, and he's going to try to make the Gengar pull a switch out here, and it's just not going to work out for him. He was expecting Mew, tried to bring in his Mismagius on the Mew so that he could potentially put himself in a position to come back with the Mew or something, or excuse me, the Mismagius. But just a little bit unfortunate for Tyler in this match. And just to add salt in the wound, he misses a Zen Headbutt there. Talonflame comes in on rocks, gets dropped as well, and then Mew's just going to end up cleaning this game up. Neither guy's played bad. Tyler was behind after the RNG and stuff like that. He tried to make things happen. It just wasn't working out for him. And, it's a little bit unfortunate. Sometimes Pokemon goes like that. But regardless, good game to both. Neither played bad, like I mentioned. So let's go ahead and hop into the last game of the week. Alright, so the last game of the week is Helmy versus Nova, Playoff P. And as you see on screen, Nova brings the Battle Bond Greninja. Of course, it's not Battle Bond yet, but it will be if it gets a knockout. Celebi, Gliscor, Megazord X. Excuse that truck. Tapu Fini, and the Lickitung, actually. And then Helmy brings the Zoroark, Landorus, Therian, Venusaur, which is Mega Venusaur, Alomomola, Como-O, and the Archeops. And this game comes down to prep, in my opinion. So we're going to start off here with the Landorus versus the Gliscor, and the Landorus is going to reveal Hidden Power Ice, which bops the Gliscor for a huge amount of damage. I think Nova should have clicked Protect there, because had Landorus clicked Knockoff and got rid of its Toxic Orb, it wouldn't have hardly been a nuisance. But yeah, it was able to roost up after it got rid of Landorus' Scarf, and then it U-turns out as Nova makes a ballsy play there and goes into his Greninja, maybe predicting the Hidden Power Ice. A little bit ballsy though, and Helmy's gonna knock out the Greninja there with the U-turn, which is a huge play. Goes into his Venusaur here as Nova brings in his Mega Charizard X. So this is going to be something that I believe Alpha said he'll never get this image out of his head. This Venusaur is going to U-turn out on the Zard. So that was the Zoroark there. It's going to U-turn out as Zard sets up a Belly Drum. So now it's going to roost up, knowing that Alomomola can't do much unless it's toxic. And it does throw off a toxic there, but something's dropping to a Dragon Claw here no matter what. And Zard's able to pick up that knockout. So here's going to be an interesting play here. Nova stays in with his Zard. I'm not sure why. I guess it didn't really have any merit at that point. And the Archeops is able to pick up a knockout and is able to actually knock out the Gliscor from this range with knockoff. Incredible. Picking up 2 knockouts back to back, and then able to set up his rocks versus the Tapu Fini, and survives a Scald. Are you kidding me? Gets burned, which is a little bit unfortunate because it could have had, a way to damage Tapu Fini here. He's going to go into his Mega Venusaur this turn, and this is not the Zoroark, as it would have probably dropped to Moonblast there. And another heat set from Nova here. He goes for the Soak, and I believe he's going to have Toxic as well. But he doesn't. Well, I guess soaking it, turning it into a water type is good enough, as you can start to 1v1 it with Moonblast at that point, if he wasn't lead seeded. Anyways, now the game's back to 4-3, and he brings back in his Mega Venusaur, which the illusion wears off. Why is that? Why did the illusion wear off? Was it because it was previously not Mega'd, and now Venusaur was Mega'd, so it couldn't disguise itself as regular Venusaur? Or was it because of the Z move? I'm not real sure. Because he didn't take any damage. I'm not real sure why his illusion was, already destroyed like that. He goes for the Acid Downpour, though. Reveals the Z move there. Does a fuck ton to Tapu Fini. And, of course, it drops to the Moonblast, but not before it put in the work as well. Like I mentioned, this game comes down to prep. And it's going to be able to throw off a lead seed here versus the Lickitung, as the Lickitung actually throws off a Toxic versus the Mega Venusaur, which was nice to see as it was a water type. But now he's going to go into the Como-O, and the Como-O is going to be able to set up a substitute. You guys might have been wondering why this thing, it's potentially at the most it's going to get 2 kills, but the set was just, nice to see in my opinion. Goes for the Belly Drum here. He's going to be able to click, I think, Drain Punch versus the Lickitung, knock this bad boy out. Get a fuck ton of HP back, put it out of range of the Celebi, and then it's going to be able to knock out the Celebi here. And it does get a Salic Berry boost as well. So after this Drain Punch, it's going to be able to outpace on the following turn and knock the Celebi out. So that was the reason for Como alongside the Reuniclus there on the thumbnail. Anyways, that's going to be the last game. We can go ahead and get back to the So, like I mentioned, I was 5 of 6 on my pick'ems. Pokemon of the week is Reuniclus. I know this is a little bit redundant, but I'm going to go recap these matches a little bit again. Montreal defeats Zagreb Zangooses. Marin made a few over predictions, cost him the game. Sebi had an insane matchup anyway, so it's likely that those over predictions and things really didn't matter. I guess it really depended on how they played. George was able to, put Tyler in a bad position with some early RNG, and Tyler just couldn't come back from that. It was just too tough at that point, especially with Septal. George being a really good player and had a really good squad as well. Wisconsin able to pick up the win over New Orleans. Some very fire sets from both players and some really good prep on both sides of the field, in my opinion. Gypsy coming out on top again was kind of expected, no disrespect to Alpha or anything like that. Alpha played extremely well and had some extremely nice sets, especially the Hill and Wish Mega Lop, outspeed and shift gear Magirna and Dragonette's Tyranitar. That was really nice to see. The Portland Crowbats pick up a win over Sky. Both guys played really well. Sky had one misclick, I don't know if it would have changed the game, but it was still, always unfortunate for that. And then Carson, like I said, I felt like he choked his game away. I felt like he could have won there had he played a little bit different in the end game, not prompting a potential bury on the Alolan Muck. But yeah, that's going to be it, and we can go ahead and hop into the power rankings now and see where everybody's ranked. Alright, so for the post-week 3 power rankings, there's not been like super significant changes, but there's some, people moving up, moving down. Not too significant though. First off, we've got number 1 still, Gypsy King and his Sydney Sharpedos. At number 2, we have Septal MC, aka George, and his San Francisco Arcaniners. Aki, VGC, and his Portland Crowbats set at number 3. Helmy and his Wisconsin Weezing set at number 4. Eric and his Reno Reggies set at number 5. And at number 6, we have Sebi and his Montreal Monfernos. At number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12, we have the Venus Shamans, coached by Carson. The Goldenrods of Strikers, coached by Skyrise. I almost said New Orleans. New York Cosmogs, coached by Tyler, Phantom Base, at number 9. At number 10, we have the Rocky Mountain Marowaks, coached by Alpha. And at number 11, we have the Zagreb Zangooses, coached by Marin Varan. And at number 12, we have Playoff P, aka Nova Hawk, and his New Orleans Faints. So like I mentioned, I felt like Nova and Helmy had a really good game, but Nova with, still like no wins or anything like that, I can't move him up from number 12, so he stays at 12. Felt like Marin, made really not necessarily bad plays, but a few over predictions here and there cost him his game, and he drops to 11. Alpha played really well, just wasn't able to pick up a win, so he still stays relatively low. Same thing for Tyler and his New York Cosmogs. Didn't play bad, but still didn't win. Can't move him up or anything like that. Sky drops a little bit, losing to Aki, but not too bad. I felt like his misclick was what, dropped him all the way to 8. Carson kind of choked his game away, so he drops from the top 6 down to 7. Sebi played really well after his week 2 bomb to Helmy, and he's able to move back up to 6, which is a good place for him. Eric's in at number 5. He didn't play bad. I don't necessarily think that should have been his win, but he didn't play bad whatsoever, and, ugly wins are still wins, so he moves up to number 5. We got the Wisconsin Weezings and the Portland Crowbats at 3 and 4. I felt like that was appropriate for them. And then the 2 undefeated teams sitting at 1 and 2. Not too much to say about that. And I guess we can talk about their transactions for a second. So I actually made a mistake. There were actually, unless Helmy's trades were active for week 4, I think there was no trades in week 3 that were, becoming active week 4. I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't see any effective week such and such. The next ones after the ones that were made in week 2 that were effective for week 3, the next ones I saw were effective for week 5. So we'll talk about that in the next video. Anyways, we've got the my week 4 pick'ems here, where I think the Montreal Monfernos will come out on top versus the New York Cosmogs. I felt like they both have a decent matchup, but again, Celesteela is just that good. It hits so good in this format, and Sebi's been playing it really well. He's got the speed tiers, and I feel like he's going to come out with a win there. And the next match, we have the San Francisco Arcaniners versus the New Orleans Faints. where I think the San Francisco Arcanine is going to pick up that win. He's just on a roll right now, and Nova Hawks kind of, the opposite. He's winless. He's having a really tough time right now. So I feel like Georgia's going to pick up that win. Next up, we have the Wisconsin Wheezing taking on the Zagreb Zangoses, where I think Marion Barron is going to bounce back from all of his losses now and pick up his first win. And I think, Helmy's not necessarily playing. He's not playing bad at all. He's playing really good. He's bringing some nice sets. His preps there and things like that. But I think Marion's going to get this one. So next up, we have the Rocky Mountain Marowaks and the Portland Crowbats, where I think the Portland Crowbats are going to pick up a victory. They're really hot after a big win off of Sky. Alpha's coming off a loss where he played well. And it's just it's very disheartening to come off a loss when you play extremely. When you play your best and you still lose, it's hard to come back from that, especially when you're facing off against the Portland Crowbats and Aki VGC, the GOAT. So next up, we have the Sydney Sharpedos picking up a win over the Venus Shamans. That's going to be my prediction. Of course, that's a tough matchup for both players. But again, it's Gypsy King. He's on fire right now. He's the best of all time. So I'm going to go ahead and give that to him. I'm not betting against him this season. And we got the Goldenrod Zebstrikers picking up a win over the Reno Reggies. That's my prediction for the week 4. I don't necessarily think one or the other has a better matchup, but Eric's been relying a lot on his Wish Mega Cane, and I think Sebi has some things that can take advantage of something clicking Wish or Protect, and being able to sub up or bringing in Mega Gallade and throwing off fire, powerful close combats and knockoffs and things like that versus Eric's squad. But yeah, that's going to be my week 4 pick'ems, and that's going to be the recap and rankings, and there was no transactions that I noted, and now my pick'ems here. So yeah, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.